All right, what's going on, y'all, man? Welcome to the college football playoff semifinal pregame show, man. Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. I know it's a little bit slower. I know the game starts at 7:30, man, but y'all know I had to get y'all right. I know I had to talk about the news, and we got to talk about this game right here. I'm excited to talk about, man. Miami and Ole Miss. Again, we ain't gonna go too much detail about other stuff, the portal news stuff. Maybe we'll do a separate show this weekend and talk about everything that didn't happen this past week for the first week of the portal. But we're going to pretty much make this show just about college football playoff, all right? And everything that's going on in these games. So let's not waste no more time. Let's get right into it and talk about the game. I think this is going to probably be the best game of the college football playoff in terms of the semifinals. Right now, obviously, you have Oregon, Indiana, which would be a very interesting and intriguing rematch. But this one, nobody expected Ole Miss and Miami to be here. Two very unique stories when you break down both of these programs, right? Ole Miss coming in, they lose their head coach, right? Lane Kiffin. He does what he does to them, and then he goes off to LSU. They even have several assistant coaches that's not going to even be in this game coaching Ole Miss because of the transfer portal and LSU trying to prepare for the 2026 season. That tells you a lot off the rip. So this team has been all in the storylines, but they've just maintained this poise about them. They've maintained this level of focus that is really unheard of when you think about it. They're 13-1 this year. They beat a rival in Georgia that they lost to earlier this year and played damn good too. Right? You look at the defense, you look at Centurion Perkins and the effort that he had against Georgia. You look at what Trinidad Chambers QB1, you look what he did against Georgia, and all of those weapons that they have. You have to credit Ole Miss because, like I said, nobody thought they was going to be in the semifinals, man. Right now, maybe with Lane Kiffin, hey, you make the argument, sure, but without him, they're balling the hell out and they're playing at a high level. So you have to credit Ole Miss for just fighting through this adversity and being at this point. Now, Miami, remember now, nobody really, I won't say nobody really wanted them in, but nobody was saying that Miami should have got in, right? It was this argument of, oh, is it Notre Dame? Is it Alabama? Who should really be into the CFP playoff? But I'm glad they set this precedent, and it looks even better now with Miami making this run, right? First off, they're helping the ACC with everything they've had going on this year, and wasn't the best conference. They're helping them out a ton being in this position and being in a position to even help the ACC win a national championship potentially if they handle business tonight because they had a five loss, a five loss ACC champion, which just doesn't look good. You have to work on your tiebreakers, right? Miami should have been into the ACC championship game. We all know that, right? That's just the truth. That's what it is. That's what it should have been. Didn't happen, right? But remember, everybody was mad at Miami. Oh, they should have got in. ACC was pushing them. Notre Dame's upset that they got in over them, whatever. But again, at some point, you have to acknowledge the head-to-head win, right? That matters. Whatever week it was, there was so much back and forth about it throughout my channel and my comment section. No, Nas, they beat them week one. That doesn't count. Week zero, that doesn't count. A win is a win at the end of the day. Miami is showing that they've been one of the better teams in college football. I guess they slipped up against SMU in Louisville, but that made them stronger at the end of the day. And they're getting very quality wins in doing so, right? Look at the first week, got a very quality win, you know what I'm saying, in their first matchup. Beating Texas A&M on the road in a hostile environment in Kyle Field. Nobody expected that from Miami. Then the next week, you're facing the number 2 team in the country that only lost to Indiana, right, in Dallas. Who expected Miami to win that? Nobody. Nobody expected the Hurricanes to come out and win that game. Let's keep this a bean. Let's keep this 1,000. Nobody expected that, right? Now you in this spot. You beat obviously the reigning defending national champions. Now you got Ole Miss. Now again, as a fan of Miami, I am not discrediting Ole Miss. I know this team can ball, right? It's going to be very important for us when we break down this matchup to limit Trinidad Chambers. You're going to have to find a way to contain. Now, we got the defensive line to do so, but those cornerbacks, the Bryce Fitzgeralds, the Jacoby Wards, like they're going to have to guard and plaster for 3 to 4 seconds. I mean, not even 3 to 4, 7 to 8 seconds, right? Because there's going to be plays he makes where he's going to make somebody miss and he's going to extend. They're going to have to stay on them. Now, they've been excellent all playoffs long at getting interceptions, getting turnovers, forced fumbles. But they're going to have to do it again and keep contained throughout the day. Now, the key to this one is for Miami defensively. We'll start there. Can you stop Keywan Lacey? That is the biggest question, right? Because Keywan Lacey is a dog, right? Over in this season, 1,464 yards and 23 touchdowns. He's one of the best running backs in the nation. He's coming back for another year with Ole Miss. You have to find a way to contain him. Now, it'll be a bad sign, a bad indicator. If Keywan Lacey is going off in that first half for over 100 yards, that is a bad sign for Miami, right? Because that means they're going to be able to run play action. They can hit their tight ends, over the middle of the field, and they can hit all their weapons, right? Harry Wallace the third, Deshaun Stribling, right? Caden Lee, Hilton Deuce Alexander. They got weapons galore over there at Ole Miss. So you play with it if you want to, and you let Keywan Lacey gut you out, they're gonna be able to beat you. And you can't put in a situation for Trinidad where you are forcing him to beat you because he showed that he can, right? So defensively for Miami, you got to use that front seven, get to the backfield, make him uncomfortable, create pressure, you know what I'm saying, and make him throw off target. That is key. Maintain the rush lanes, don't allow him to get outside, contain, and limit the running game. If you can limit Keywan Lacey to under 100 yards, that is a win in my book, right? You cannot let him take over this game because if he take over, it's going to be a long damn night, right? And you have that coupled with what Trinidad Chambers can do with all the weapons they have, it's going to be a long night for us, right? So defensively, important to stop the run with Keywan Lacey, keep our rush lanes protected, when it comes to Trinidad Chambers, and being able to beat their offensive line. Why Miami has been so good this year is because of the trench work. They've been so good in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, right? All of that makes a big difference. If they can do that in this game, they should be able to come out top. But the key is to stop Keywan Lacey. I ain't gonna say force that chance to beat you because he can. You're gonna have to maintain and plot your receivers, and you're gonna have to make him throw in some tight windows. And if they make a play, they make a play. You're gonna have to live with that, right? But what you cannot have is him scrambling out of the pocket, improvising, making 3, 4 people miss, and then throwing off schedule. He's gonna cook us all game if that happens. So defensively for Miami, that's what they need to do. Offensively, more importantly, Carson Beck, we don't need you to be Superman. We don't. We don't need you to be Superman. We don't need you to be throwing the ball up in the air for grabs. Lean on Mark Fletcher, right? Lean on Shamar Brown. Lean on those guys to carry you for the day. Now, if Ole Miss defense can stop the run, that could pose problems for us because Beck has shown when they're one dimensional, he throws a lot of interceptions. You look at the Louisville game, 4 interceptions. SMU game, 2 interceptions. So that is one of my concerns. If that defensive front with PU, they can pretty much slow it down, right? So it's gonna be very important that they do that. They slow it down, make sure they get some play action going, and set up some easy throws for Carson Beck early. Like pretty much what I'm trying to say, y'all, get Carson Beck into a rhythm, right? Get him to a rhythm because if you let that defensive line for Ole Miss tee off on you, it could be a long night. And Beck has been a little prone and privy to turnovers. So it's going to be very crucial for us to get him in the rhythm early. Let's hit Lofton, some of our tight ends, screens. Just get him going early. Because if he goes 7 for 7, 8 for 8, and he's in that rhythm, we'll be just fine, right? Because they're gonna gear up to stop the run, right? So you got to be able to get back in the rhythm early, right? Getting the ball to Malachi Tony, short screens, hitches, digs, outs, whatever it is, get the ball into number 10 hands as well. He's potent. And then I'm gonna need other people to step up because he's gonna get bracketed coverage, right? He's gonna have probably 2 people on him throughout the night. Now it's tougher when you're in that slot, which is what Malachi Tony plays to double. But I'm gonna need the guys that were on the outside, the CJ Daniels, the JoJo Traders, the Keelan Marions. I need those guys to win on the outside if they're gonna have a chance to win this game. Point blank, period. Right? It's really just that simple. If they're gonna win this game, they have to be able to get back into a rhythm, run the ball effectively, and hit our receivers on the outside. Again, easier said than done, but it starts with the trench work. It starts with Francis Magawa, right? It starts with our offensive line being able to create holes and lanes for Mark Fletcher to run through, right? Because that's the game plan for Ole Miss. They're going to try to gear up to stop that. If you can find a way to keep that going, get back into a rhythm, we can get it going offensively. We'll be just fine. Now, another thing I want to bring up for Miami, you got to keep your foot on the gas, right? Ole Miss is a team, they can come back on you, right? You cannot play around with the Rebels. If you got them in a hole, say 17-10, you can go up 24-10 at the halftime, get the ball in the second half. Do that. Don't play around with Ole Miss because the Rebels have shown they will make your day a living hell if you allow them to, right? And they can get back into games and make things interesting. Georgia had like a 21-10 lead, I think it was at one point, and they still came back and won the game. So if you have Ole Miss on the ropes, knock them the hell out. Period. You know what I'm saying? Knock them out. Right? Now for Ole Miss, get Keywan Lacey going. Right? That's going to set up the whole offense, right? Because then you have guys, the linebackers that Miami has, the safeties that they have. They're going to start creeping up into that box. 8, 9 boxes. That is very fortuitous for Trinidad Chambers to be able to throw over different guys, right? To be able to fit the ball in one-on-one situations. He's already shown what he can do in the one-on-one situations. So that's where it kind of starts and stops for Ole Miss. Get Keywan Lacey going, it's going to open up and spread out the whole offense. You know what I'm saying? It's going to allow those big plays down the field. It's going to allow Trinidad Chambers to be able to improvise and things like that. And then defensively for Ole Miss, I say the retort: create pressure on Carson Beck, right? Be able to get there with a 4-man front. Be able to get there sometimes with throwing different zone blitzes his way, right? Because if you muddy up the coverage and you make it tough for him to look, he's been prone to some interceptions, right? And if you Ole Miss, that is exactly what you want in this game. If you can make Carson Beck throw some interceptions, you definitely will probably be able to come out on top. So it's going to be a great game. That is my breakdown on both sides of the spectrum. What to look out for, what's going to be important. Me personally, I'm rolling with my Miami Hurricanes. I have to, you know what I'm saying? That's my favorite football team. But I think this is going to be a really good game, and it's not going to be an easy game going up against Ole Miss. Now, I think Ole Miss scores a little bit more points. I know our defense has been playing good, so I'm going to go a 34-27 victory for us over Ole Miss, but Ole Miss gives their best fight, their best punch, but we're able to knock them out just in enough time. So it's going to be a good game. I can't wait, but I'm going with my Hurricanes to come out on top in a close game against the Rebels again. Not spiting them or anything, not overlooking them. But this is gonna be a pretty good game and another SEC battle for my Hurricanes, man. So that is matchup numero uno. All right, let's get real quick to this matchup. All right, Indiana and Oregon, the rematch. This is what you want if you're Oregon, right? You want that smoke, right? You want it back in blood. This is how you do it, right? Neutral setting at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. You got a chance to punch your ticket officially. Get to punch your ticket to the national championship, right? And I told y'all called me crazy, but I had a strong take. I think early in the season, I said I think Dan Lanning is gonna mess around and win him a chip eventually, right? I think he's in that conversation. I think he's that kind of a coach. I think he can do that, right? Now the key when you go back and you look at Oregon, you look at Texas Tech, defense ball. Defense played at a very high level, forced multiple turnovers, right? And Brandon Finney looks like, oh my gosh, like an elite cornerback. He looks like a first round pick right now, right? He was phenomenal. I think he had 5 tackles, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble. Dude was all over, or a fumble recovery. Dude was all over the field, right? So when you look at this game, right, Oregon's going to need more of that. Oregon's going to need guys like Tua Toy. They're going to need him to step up. Ugale, those kind of guys, they're going to need them to step up in his game, if they're going to have a chance, right? You're going to have to force who is not very mistake prone or turnover prone in Fernando Mendoza, you're going to have to force him into some bad looks and bad reads. And your guys going to have to make plays on the ball defensively, right? Now, they got the playmakers on the back end to do it. Oregon definitely does. You know what I'm saying? That's what gives you kind of confidence in this game. Oregon has that, right? Can they do that consistently, though, right? It's going to be the question, right? Can you force Mendoza to put it into some tight windows, right? All that is going to be very important if Oregon wants to have a chance to win this game, right? Next thing I look at, when you look at Oregon, you're going to have to find some way, and it's underrated. No one talks about him enough, but Roman Hemby, you're going to have to find a way to stop him. Now, I know he just crossed over 1,000 yards, but he gets those tough yards that is very difficult to get. He keeps shortening his legs. He is very, very, very good, right? So they're going to have to be very disciplined when going up against him in this game if they want to have a chance to kind of come out on top. And they're going to have to force him into like 2 to 3 yards per carry, right? That's going to be the only way they're going to have a chance if they want to come out on top, right? So that's number one for Oregon, right? Forces him a couple turnovers, slowing down Roman Hemby, and making Fernando Mendoza, like just making plays on the ball. If he throws it up to Elijah Surratt or Charlie Becker, or he's throwing it into that tight window, forcing the interception, forcing the incompletion. That's going to be key for Oregon in getting off the field. Now, they got guys, like I said, that can force those turnovers into a toy and Ugale. They did it all game. But now, going to Oregon's offense, you got to convert that into points. This ain't no field goal game, right? You cannot go kick field goals against Indiana and expect to win. It just ain't going to happen, right? So you got to find a way to, one, better protect Dante Moore because he got battered and bruised against Texas Tech, who has a really good defensive front in David Bailey, and you obviously look at Romello Height, right? Find a way to make it easier for him. Find a way for him to be able to get the ball out quicker. You know what I'm saying? Him to hit some of his weapons, the Malik Bensons, the Decorian Moores. He got to be able to get the ball out quick if they're going to have a chance in this game, right? Number two, Get the running game going. That's your best friend if you Oregon. That's why you've been so good this year and you've been such a well balanced attack because of Noah Whittington and the season he's having. You got a true freshman in Jordan Davidson who's been playing at a high level. Hill Jr. is another one, right? You got three different backs with 500 yards rushing this year, right? Your best friend is going to be the running game because why? When they go and they're peeling and they put 8 or 9 in that box, it's going to set up one-on-one coverage with Dante Moore, who's going to probably be the number 2 overall pick in next year's NFL draft in April, right? He's going to be able to make those throws and those reads. I have full confidence in him. The key is can those receivers make those plays, right? Going up against a D'Angelo Pons, going up against some of these top-rated guys, not top-rated, they are top-rated now in college, but not coming out. Can you make those plays consistently against them? It's going to be key for Oregon. But it starts with having a well-balanced attack, running the ball with Whittington, running the ball with Jordan Davidson, and being able to shut up the play-action plays in this one. Now, Keon Sadiq is going to be one that's underrated but could loom large, right? Now, Indiana has some really good linebackers, but Sadiq is a matchup problem, right? He's a pretty much a mismatch, right? One of the best players. He's likely going to go to the league after this season. If you're Oregon, find a way to get him the ball, right? The intermediate routes, that's going to be your best friend in this game because look at the boundary, they can cover really well. They got great safeties. But the Sadiq against some of those linebackers, you take your chances on that all day long. So if you Oregon, find a way to get Sadiq the ball, right? If you can do that with the running game, you can make this game very interesting, and you can even upset Indiana and come out on top. So those are my 3 keys for Oregon that you got to do in this game, right? Talked about defensively, and then we just talked about offensively. Get the running game going, protect Dante Moore, and lean on Keon Sadiq a little bit. Again, you got the players in Malik Benson and Decorian Moore, but the intermediate part of the field is going to be your best friend. Now for Indiana, there's so much to say. I mean, this team is so good. Like, they're so good. It's ridiculous. And it's like Kirk Cigneti is always prepared. He's never scared. He always has an answer for whatever you're doing. So it's tough to go against a coach that constantly has that. Like, consistently, every time you play him, he is prepared. He is ready to go. So for Indiana, in this one, offensively, do what you've been doing, right? Running the ball with Roman Hemby, leaning on Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper, Charlie Becker. You got all these guys you can get the ball to. Lean on those guys in the open field, right? Now, Mendoza, you're going to have to be careful because you can give Oregon some momentum, right? Now, he's not turnover prone, but they do have a front 4 in Ugale Tuatoe, who plays linebacker. They can get home with a front 4, right? So if you don't, usually he gets the ball out quick, but if you ain't getting the ball out quick enough, that could be a long day for you, right? If you ain't throwing and seeing your reads and boom, 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 right? You holding that ball, right? You're more privy to a turnover, right? Now Indiana's offensive line is pretty good this year, but that front 4 for Oregon can get back there. And if it's a contested ball, Oregon can come down with it. They got the athletes on the outside to do it. Trust me, I know. You know what I'm saying? So for Indiana to stop all that, not a lot of front 4 to get home. You got to protect well, got to block well. Lean on Hemby to get the running game going. Mendoza hit on some of the reads down the field. You know what I'm saying? As you've been doing all year long. Take your opportunities when it's there. But one thing I love about Mendoza, he don't force it. He always takes what the defense gives. Whether it's a short route, it's hitch, something over the middle of the field, he always takes what the defense gives him, which makes him a really good quarterback because he never like doing too much, right? He be doing just enough. And that's honestly that's what you got to have if you're going to beat a team like this. If we're being 100% honest, right? So that's going to be key in this one for Indiana, right? And I look at it, can you hit on the big plays, right? Can you hit on the big plays? That's been a mark of this offense this year. They hit on a lot of big plays. Look at the Alabama game, a number of big plays with Mendoza and Surratt, a number of big plays with him and Cooper. Can you hit on the big plays consistently in this one? Now, the change up in this one is Oregon's seen this team now for the second time. So they know some of their tendencies. They know what they like to do well, right? So Oregon's going to probably be a little bit more prepared in this one to go against Indiana, facing them the second time. And it is hard to beat a team twice in one season. Trust me, it is very, very, very difficult, right? And Oregon's the underdog coming in. I like Dan Lennon a lot. I just think this Indiana team's playing at another level, man. I think this is a team that's hungry. They want it. They've never been in this spot for a long time. And they believe in their head coach, Kirk Cigneti, man. And I think this team is ready to go. And I think they're ready to win the Natty, man. So I think this game will be close. I think Indiana will prevail ultimately. And I think it's going to be a game-winning field goal for the Hoosiers over Oregon, who plays probably like their best game of the season. I'm going to go 24-21 Indiana victory over Oregon. But I think it's a back and forth affair. Both defenses play pretty well. Plays are made late in the game, get them into the field goal territory, and then walk it off to go to the Natty. I'm going to go Indiana. 24-21. I think great game, both sides of the ball. Defensively, like I said, if you Indiana, lean on Hardy. Your linebacker, let him blitz. Let him come downhill and force Dante Morrison some bad plays and bad reads, and you should be able to come out on top, man. But I'm excited for this one. This is going to be another good one. Two really elite teams tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Friday night. Doesn't get much bigger than these two teams playing. Can't wait to see who comes out on top. But I'm going with the Hoosiers to win the game. All right. So those are my predictions, man. Like I said, I kept this show short, about 20 minutes or so. I just wanted to break down each matchup, give my thoughts, keys and clues to watch out for in both of the games, and who will come out on top, man. But I'll be back next week, y'all. For obviously our recap show of what happened in the semis. You know what I'm saying? So I'll give you guys all that, and I will preview the national championship will be on that Monday as well. So I'll stay tuned for that. And I know it's a whole bunch of portal news. If I had more people in the comments, I probably would hit a couple of those topics. But y'all come back next week, man, and I'll break all that down. Appreciate everybody that tuned in today for today's show, and I will see you guys pretty soon next week, next Wednesday. All right, y'all. Enjoy y'all college football playoff semifinals, and y'all know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on all platforms. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.